welcome to Urban U. I'm Tinabeth Pina.
And I'm Goldberg. This month we're in the South Bronx at Hostos Community College. This is where they held the International Student Animation Festival, but we'll have more on that later in the show.
When John Jay professor Kristen Madrazo recognized the lack of young, diverse voices in the world of nonfiction, she became inspired to teach her students the art of podcasting just to fill that void. Abby Ashola has more.
Y'all should just come and live with me, my dad said one day. So we did. We moved in with him, into the pawn shop.
This is No Tale of Fiction.
The pawn shop was my dad's baby. It stood on the side of a dingy beige apartment building in Brooklyn, on a street where crackheads roamed around with stolen items like shampoo and body wash with the Rite Aid stickers still on them, while guys in puffy jackets stood on the corners eyeing whoever walked by, even 15-year-old me.
The events Sashiela Vieira described here are her personal account of a life she once knew. Moving to New York City from Guyana, then her father moving her and her little brother into his Brooklyn pawn shop.
The only people that was aware that we lived in a pawn shop was our close family members. Once I got past feeling ashamed of where I've lived or feeling ashamed of what I've witnessed growing up, it was just easy for me to actually write it on paper and for me to actually share that with other people.
It's the same sense of release that many students here at John Jay have experienced through Life Out Loud, a literary podcast series that allows students to tell true stories about themselves, their families, or people they've encountered.
Less than 5% of Dominicans self-identified as Black in a recent census. My mother is one such Dominican.
You're standing behind the counter of a fast food restaurant, looking into a line of people that could eat you alive.
Eager to leave the past 15 and a half years behind me, I ruminate about the deplorable conditions of solitary confinement, where on some nights, the guards intentionally passed by my cell so I couldn't eat.
Hi there, and welcome back to Life Out Loud.
My name is Riley Linares, and I am the co-digital sound director and the digital studio manager with Life Out Loud.
The criminology major has shared 2 stories on the podcast.
First one that I shared was about me moving to New York and coming to terms with my sexuality and everything. So I was very scared, but it actually has helped me a lot move forward in that process.
I believe in the power of storytelling. I believe that, if you just look historically, it's clear that the people who get to tell stories, the people who have the power and the agency to position themselves within their own narratives, historically have more power than those people who don't.
It was about the title, but we don't have to stay on the title. We can move on from there.
I'm Kristen Madrazo. I'm a lecturer here at John Jay College. Right now, I run the writing program. I teach creative nonfiction, and from one of those creative nonfiction classes came Life Out Loud.
We're all so excited to bring you new stories in the coming months.
Madrazo was inspired to start the series in 2015 while selecting course material. When she looked to share work from her favorite storytelling podcasts like The Moth, she ran into a problem.
I really couldn't find a lot of literary nonfiction that was by young, urban people of color. It was almost all middle-aged, suburban writers, mostly women. And I was really getting concerned about, here's this genre I love. And I was like, are they gonna love this genre? They're not very well represented, but I know they have really interesting stories. Where are all of their stories?
When her students began writing their own stories for her class, she realized that they were the answer.
It was sort of like a moment of, I can't just let these stories die in a classroom or on a page. We're gonna have to do something with them because this group of storytellers is severely underrepresented.
The process of getting each piece prepared for the show is a thorough one. Most of the selections are first workshopped in Madrazo's class. Each piece goes through several drafts, then students like Vieira make it on air.
But what he hadn't said or planned on was business being slow. We also never planned on him squandering money on horse races either.
Students also host each episode and interview featured authors about their stories.
The connotation is kind of like, these conditions were kind of difficult, but it was never from a negative place necessarily.
Right. I mean, there couldn't be a negative place because I was appreciative that I still had a roof over my head. It was never, oh my God, I need to get out of here, but it's like, where would I have gone?
Right.
So
This is home right now.
Exactly.
The stories that go missing are not usually the stories of the most powerful people. In fact, the stories that go missing belong to people with little or no power. Very often young people, very often people of color, very often minority populations. I really believe that story work is at the core of social justice work.
Here at John Jay, students have taken back their power by living life out loud.
Ensuring that my brother and I ate first to our heart's desire, then eating whatever scraps and smaller pieces of chicken was left. He'd always say he was full, even if he wasn't.
Wow, that's such an interesting piece.
Abby Ashola for Urban U.
If you're a fan of the show, you might recognize this next building from The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Because for this month's For the Record, we're taking things pretty close to home. The story of the building that would become the CUNY Grad Center and the home of CUNY-TV.
For young New Yorkers, Amazon is often the closest thing to a department store we've ever shopped at. But for New Yorkers of a certain age, the B. Altman store was an icon of Fifth Avenue shopping for a century. These days, that building is now a national landmark, and also the CUNY Graduate Center. While never as big as Macy's, it was B. Altman & Company that was the first Midtown pioneer. In 1906, it was the first major store to move onto Fifth Avenue, and as such, its rapid success led to the transformation of Midtown's Fifth Avenue into the fashionable shopping row we know now. See, at the time, 34th and 5th in Manhattan was a wealthy residential neighborhood. The Empire State Building was still 25 years away, so a stately Italian Renaissance-style department store buttressed by giant limestone columns was certainly a sight. And its wildly successful upscale clothing fashion was as well. Only a few years after its opening, however, in 1913, Benjamin Altman himself, the B of B. Altman, died. But the building wasn't the only art legacy he left to New York. He bequeathed over 1,000 pieces of his private art collection to the Met, including Rembrandts and Botticellis, at the time, the biggest gift ever to the museum. But the most visible legacy to the city, of course, is the building itself, which was officially designated a national landmark in 1985. While the venerable department store would close its doors for good in 1990, 10 years later, a new resident would move in. And since 2000, this New York icon has been home to our own CUNY Graduate Center.
There are a lot of programs that help people returning from prison with food, shelter, clothing, but the College and Community Fellowship wants to go beyond just the ability to survive and help with the ability to thrive. And for some people, part of thriving is being able to share their journey through theater.
Don't sleep on me, beloved, because I have used my energy to defy the odds by enrolling in college, to keep my promise I made to myself back in 3rd grade. The Theater for Social Change has been a vehicle that I've been allowed to sit in to help me along with my process with returning back to society after spending time in prison.
Welcome to the Theater for Social Change, a performance ensemble made up entirely of formerly incarcerated women, sharing their experiences with the criminal justice system and as returning citizens.
And there is no discussion to be had about us without us. It's us revealing and showing ourselves and sharing ourselves and our experience with others. And it's quite beneficial. It's quite beneficial for the group as a whole. And then as we perform, it'll be beneficial to the audience as well, because they'll be able to feel some of the pain and also the glory and the triumphs that we've gone through since we've been home, adjusting to being released from prison, embracing education, being positive role models in a society where we used to become lost. But now we found our voice and we know how to use it productively.
Catherine Sweetness Jennings has been with the ensemble for years. She has taken the name Sweetness, she says, to remind her to always be a kind person on her journey. Because indeed, the theater is about a journey as much as about a performance. The Theater for Social Change operates under the umbrella of the College and Community Fellowship, or CCF, an organization dedicated to helping women with criminal convictions earn college degrees. Vivian Nixon is their director.
I know when I found out about College and Community Fellowship, I was incarcerated at Albion Correctional Facility. The thing that stuck out to me about College and Community Fellowship was the word college. Everything else came as a bonus. I joined College and Community Fellowship in 2001, 1 year after its founding. I earned my degree in nonprofit management in 2004 and came to work for the organization and have been working for the organization ever since.
The CCF was originally housed at CUNY, with the Theater for Social Change having yearly CCF graduation performances at the Grad Center. They've also performed everywhere from Rikers to Brown and Columbia University to the Harlem State Office Building. This year, they perform again at the CUNY Grad Center.
We stand, and here we will be together.
Our process is that we do a lot of improv and free writing with the help of a professional theater coach. And then with the help of someone who is actually trained in theater, that is developed into a script. We had a prison experience, and then we're returning home not just back to society, but back to family members, back to our children. And so it allows us to talk about the things that are hard to talk about with other people who have similar experiences.
Yes, it happened, it's there, and I am where I am now in spite of it. And that shows my resilience.
But one way to kind of soften the view that society has about those who are incarcerated is to change the narrative. And we change the narrative by telling our stories. I think that the thing that makes CCF so different is that there are women in CCF, and in particular women who are members of the Theater for Social Change, who I met when I joined the organization in 2001. And they are still, as alumni, committed to the organization. But more than that, they are my sisters, they are my friends, they are my community. That's the community part of College and Community Fellowship. There is no organization like it.
For Urban U, I'm Ari Goldberg.
The Honan Piano Competition is one of the world's most prestigious events, and the Graduate Center's Nicholas Namarazde just won it.
It was an incredible honor to have won this competition. And what's very special about Honan's is the 3-year artist development program that they give their prize laureate. So I shall be working with both my new manager and the entire Honan's team on marketing, promotion, debut recitals around the world, recordings, and a number of incredibly important things at the start of one's career. I could not really imagine a better way to begin one's career than this, and I'm still pinching myself. I'm always fascinated by simply how the hand manages to navigate its way around the piano keyboard, because it's not a particularly ergonomic keyboard, so it was this kind of almost artisanal approach to the mechanics of piano playing that really served as the inspiration for these pieces. Compositional process is usually pacing up and down my room and just thinking about musical ideas. I don't compose at the piano because I find it sometimes can be a bit of a leash on my imagination. And I have been rather influenced by a great composer I had the privilege of studying with here at the Graduate Center, John Corigliano, who showed me a way of planning out larger structures in a way that an architect would actually design a building, first with the broadest elements and the broad structure before going into details, and just know, okay, I want to have a fast section here, a slow section here, I want to have an increase in tension here, I want to create this kind of dramatic narrative before writing a single note, and then filling in this structure, this framework, this skeleton, with the individual musical material. I was always fascinated by and obsessed with music, actually, as a young child, even though I didn't play an instrument, and I'd get stuck to the record player for hours on end. And then it would be different genres of music, but as soon as I began playing the piano at the age of 7, then classical music was all I was interested in. But I've really made an effort to supplement my musical education with all other sorts of education. So for example, one course I took at Columbia last year was called Neuroscience and Buddhism. And I thought it was very fascinating, as I'm very interested by the contemplative sciences. And then I've been experimenting with what kind of preparatory procedures, like kind of either meditations or just things that I would think about before going on stage. When one plays, one feels, hopefully, a sense of exhilaration and being lost inside the music that one is performing, and feeling like there is really no separation between the music one hears and one's own physical input.
No big surprise, living in the largest city in the country can be stressful. So for our next story, we explore the stress that goes along with living in New York.
Well, you go right outside, it's a great corner, 6th Avenue and 34th Street. The moment the light turns green, people are running across the street. People aren't walking. So New York is about chasing things. I think one of the main reasons people are here is because they want to pursue a career. Not that it's wrong to pursue a career, but in New York, the mode of operation is chase. I feel like a lot of people, they enjoy it, the hustle and bustle, but even though you're thriving on it, right, it doesn't mean it's a healthy thrive. It's almost like revving your car up all the time. If you drive your car just revved up all the time at fast, 100 miles an hour, its lifespan is going to decrease. So people, yes, they thrive because it's exciting, but internally, there's a lot that's being diminished.
The stress is a physiological response. It's not purely a mental response at all. And in fact, it isn't always the case that people are knowledgeable about their level of stress. I've done some research on Macy's during a sale, for example, and I found that people, I gave them some mental tasks and so on, and they were unable to perform them as well. They were sort of math tasks, very simple math tasks, or finding thing kind of task. And I did it under crowded and uncrowded conditions, and the people who were doing it under crowded conditions showed much deteriorated performance.
New York bombards you with things that you think you want, and they're not even needs, they're wants, basically. You have a desire to have them because others have things. it's not something you need to make your life better. It's not going to enrich our life.
The city is getting more crowded, and that increases the chances of your being in a crowd. It also increases the irritations of like having to wait, not being able to get what you want because you're competing with other people for it. And I think it's especially hard economically because you're constantly competing with people for housing. A home is often a space of retreat that can be restorative, and having that be insecure, inadequate, is not good for restoration from stress. The subway system, as you know, has deteriorated a lot lately, and I think that's a huge stressor because it has all those bad qualities. You're with strangers, the stress is uncontrollable and unpredictable, you never know. The main thing is that it's important for cities as a policy to try to mitigate the stress through like noise control, good treatment of pedestrian and traffic flow. I think the great increase we've had in green spaces is useful in so many different ways. A lot of research just looking at green spaces is restorative.
There's so many companies are doing yoga classes, so many companies are bringing me back on a regular basis because there's a lot of research out there on mindfulness from Harvard Business Review and Scientific American, the University of Pennsylvania. They're showing that those who practice mindfulness on a regular basis have lower levels of stress. This is not a religious thing, it's not a spiritual thing. It's a secular practice that you can do at work, at home, on the subway if you're living in New York City, and make yourself feel better, make yourself less anxious, less stressed.
We shouldn't underestimate the stresses that people have outside of the city, because the very biggest stresses that have big well-being effects are life events and daily hassles. So you could live in the suburbs, but have to commute a lot or have trouble accessing things you need or be socially isolated and have a lot of life events, and that would outweigh things probably like exposure to noise and so on. So I just want us to keep in mind that stress is a cumulative thing. What we think of as urban stressors lie on top of other stressors. So if you move to New York for a good job that you love and to marry someone you love and you're well paid and you have a nice apartment, that is probably a reasonable life decision.
And to end our show, we'll leave you with one of those animations from that International Student Animation Festival, screened right here at Hostos.
For more information on any of our stories, check out our website at tv.cuny.edu or take a look at our Urban U Facebook page. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Happy holidays.